Yeah. To hear about Carrier's business functions and the existing challenges that they have. So it's to understand more about the areas for startup intervention and collaboration and the organization's way forward. Now, if you don't already know about Carrier, we are a multinational corporation that manufactures heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration, fire and security systems. We are a global leader in providing healthy, safe, sustainable, and intelligent buildings and cold chain solutions. Carrier's innovation team, iCAR, focuses on identifying innovative solutions amongst the startup ecosystem partners to collaborate, enable joint go-to-market strategies, and may even attract investments from Carrier's corporate venture arm. So for this edition of AirTalks, we are connecting with Mr. Tamanash and Mr. Gaurav. To give you a quick overview of their profiles, Tamanash is the Director of Digital Products, Commercial HVAC Solutions at Carrier. In this role, he is driving high-priority IoT initiatives to support the CHVAC, which is Commercial HVAC, aftermarket and service organizations. Prior to joining Carrier, Tamanash was the Director of Smart Service Ecosystem at Cummins, where he led the design and development and launch of Cummins' own advanced IoT device and platform to support the commercial automotive business. Gaurav is the CEO and co-founder of Doppelio. He has over 2 decades of experience leading global tech solutions and product businesses for organizations like Mindtree, Infosys, OnMobile, etc. Prior to founding Doppelio, he was the Chief Strategy Officer and the Head of Product Business at Mindtree. So welcome to both our guest speakers. We also have Ravindra, who heads the innovation agenda at Carrier. He will be the one moderating the session. So Ravin, over to you, and looking forward to a very fruitful conversation with everybody.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Matthew, for the introduction. And I'm really super excited to have Tamanash and Gaurav with me today. I think we'll be talking a lot about commercial HVAC. So bear with me for the next for the next 20, 30 minutes. You'll hear a lot about how HVAC works and what kind of digital solutions we are building at Carrier. And we'll also hear another sneak peek from Gaurav, who is one of our co-partners whom we're working and talk about his organization, his startup, and his journey and how he's been collaborating with enterprise customers like Carrier. So I look forward, excited about this. And before that, I'll just give you a little sneak peek about what we do at Carrier Digital Hub. Just bear with me, just a couple of minutes. So Carrier Digital Hub is based out of Hyderabad, and it's a 300 strong organization, and we have technologists who are expertise working across the value chain of HVAC and fire and security, and with different skills, with unique skills around analytics, around platform building, data synthesis, digital manufacturing, data integrators, smart building tech, sensor connectivity. So there's a lot of IoT solutions that we are building and incubating at our Digital India Hub. And as part of this initiative, AirTalks is one such program where we wanted to engage with startups at a much more strategic level. So we have a very strong and structured program where we engage with startups across 4 phases. The first is the scouting phase, where we look at different solution providers that are aligned to our business strategy. Then we look into a validate phase. That's exactly what we're doing with our business. Understand, is it a solution that matches with the Carrier ecosystem, Carrier digital strategy? And then we go into an MVP phase. I think that's where Gaurav today will be talking a little bit about his experience in working with us in that phase. And then we evaluate, and then we look into a much more broader partnership model. So we're quite happy with the kind of engagement we've been doing in the last 1 year or so. And we look forward to continue this momentum going forward. So with that, maybe I will start this session with a quick question to Tamanash. Tamnash, I think you lead the uh, digital strategy for commercial HVAC solutions. Could you talk a little bit about the HVAC business and what was your role there to begin with? That'll help us. Yeah.
Thanks, Ravin. Yeah. So, hello everybody. Thanks for joining. Tamanash Mukherjee here. I lead the digital products for commercial HVAC. So commercial HVAC. So within HVAC, there are two main segments, right? Residential HVAC and commercial HVAC. And for residential, your AC systems in your house, right? So something's split AC or outside, the main unit on the outside, right? So those are uh, uh, the residential HVAC, and you also hear something called VRF and those new heat pumps systems that are coming in the market. For commercial HVAC, before even I joined the company, right, I did not have a very good idea of what exactly is a commercial HVAC. Then we, got to know about chillers, right? So usually you don't see those chillers. They are huge equipments, usually in some, multi-level basements under somewhere, or somewhere outside, or sometimes in the rooftop. And then also, if you have been to any big city, if you go up in a skyscraper, from the top, if you see on the top of the buildings, you will see big fans rotating, huge fans. So those are, the rooftop units or air handlers. So those all constitute as commercial HVAC. And within commercial HVAC, we have multiple businesses within Carrier as well. We have a building technologies group, which have like ALC, Automated Logic Corporation, a lot of controls business. And then we have Noresco, which is a energy management company, project management company. So it's kind of a multitude of businesses put together, commercial HVAC, and it's a truly global business for Carrier. Like we are kind of present in 160 countries, customers everywhere, and then major development centers, manufacturing centers in the US, in Europe, in North Asia, South Asia. So it's kind of a truly global business. And so some of the things that we do in commercial HVAC from digital perspective, like obviously the digital strategy, and then trying to help out the main business, the core business, enabling them to create a transformation from the product perspective and helping the customer, realize their value, right? So with the help of digital. And the goal is truly create a life cycle product or solution, right? Instead of just selling a product, we are trying to create this experience of a true life cycle solution. That's the goal of digital within commercial HVAC.
Thanks, Tamnash. I think that was quite clear and very concise for our audience to understand. So with that in mind, could you little talk about our two digital products, especially maybe the Abound, which is more targeted for smart building owners and very closely related to our commercial HVAC business? How does this product and what kind of benefit it gives to the customers as well as to Carrier, and what are some capabilities it brings to the table?
Sure. Yeah. Before I go to the products, right, I just wanted to talk about some of the secular trends that are happening or trending right now in the HVAC industry, right? So, for example, you will definitely see that all of the products in the HVAC industry, right, they want to be smart, right? Smart products, right? How do you make it smart? Like integration of the IoT to, convert a traditional HVAC system into smart HVAC system, right? And then you'll see a lot of emphasis on the ESG goals, sustainability, right? So you have mandate from government, you have mandate from business leadership consortium, like we have to meet certain ESG goals. Then we have a theme of AI ML, right? It's a big theme. And then advancement is also happening from a building automation system, right? For example, people are not just thinking about their HVAC system, but they're also thinking about the whole building as a whole, right? So for example, how do we, make the building more intelligent, more sustainable, more efficient, more healthy, right? Overall, with a reduced total cost of energy. So bringing all of this together, we have several products, right? One of the flagship products that we are building today is Abound, and Abound is a suite of solution, targeted towards creating that building of the future, right? So it has HVAC component, it has energy management component, it has predictive insights, it has like it's a suite of solution that would enable the customer to make their building more sustainable, intelligent, healthy, and with a reduced total cost of ownership.
Thanks, Tamanash. So can you also throw us some light about what are the challenges in deploying IoT on these chillers? So what are some challenges, or what kind of solutions are we looking at from innovative startups who joined today? So what are some of those challenges which we are trying to solve, and how can they partner with us?
Sure. So in order for us to move forward in this journey, right? So we follow a strategy called localize, visualize, optimize, and monetize. Like where localize is like, how do you make sure that you are able to connect each and every product that you have, right? So that is the big deal, to be very honest, right? That's the very first step, identifying the install base, where all your products are installed, right? So if something is already installed, you have to figure out a way to get to that location and get it connected. There is also one strategy that we have implemented is get products connected directly in the factories, right? The moment it rolls out from the factory, it needs to be able to have the connectivity device associated with the product, so that the moment it gets installed, you turn it on and it's already connected. So that is something usually has a long lead time for products, because we are, I would say, in a good situation. We have a product backlog of multi-year, and some of the products that are being ordered now would be delivered in several, like 30, 40, 50 weeks. So we have a long lead time before when those products would be hitting the markets. But at the same time, there are hundreds of thousands of products already installed in customer bases, right? So we have to figure out where those customer products are, and then how do you connect it. And there is a challenge right now, I would say, across the industry with shortages, like technician, right? We need somebody to go and connect, and you need certain kind of skills for those technicians to go and connect the devices. So what we have been doing is we were focused on how do you make that experience and the process of installation as easy as possible, as simple as possible, which is a hard job, right? How can you make it as simple as possible so that we do not need a very highly skilled HVAC technician to go and connect, because those guys are really scarce, and they are required to actually repair and manage, maintain the HVAC equipment, right? If we use those same technician, highly skilled technician, to go and connect a connectivity device, which essentially maybe potentially an electrician can do, potentially somebody who does not know HVAC system should be able to do, so that we can scale really well. But in order to achieve that, we have utilized a lot of software driven processes upfront, where it does most of the things automatic, right? So the moment you turn things on, obviously you need to do the wiring correctly. You have different buses, CCN bus, and multiple business management system, different buses within the business, within the plant room. If you're able to do the wiring correctly, once you turn it on, the system should be self capable to identify itself, identify the chillers associated with the device, and onboard on its own. And another challenge that I will tell you, in order to achieve that, data data harmonization and standardization is a big deal, right? So because you sometimes, when you're in plant room, you may not have everything that is a carrier equipment. You may have somebody else's equipment, right? Competitive equipment. The BMS system could be different. So how do you harmonize the data? Because initially, some of the products that we have launched, or the programs that we have launched, like from the control perspective, some are 20 years old, 30 years old program. And at that time, not a lot of standardization was followed. Right now, we are moving into something called brick class or haystack, where we are bringing standardization. Now, future will be bright, but how do you deal with the existing mess that we have created all over the world, right? So we are trying to create this harmonization, and that takes time. Like creating those mapping algorithms, identifying those data harmonization opportunities, so that this installation process becomes as seamless as possible and we can scale really well. That is the main challenge, I'll tell you, related to localize or connect the equipment.
Thanks, Tamanash. I think the outcome of that, three things I could recall. One is installation, ease to install the equipment, as well as do a data normalization so that the data connectivity is established, and then some training for our folks in a digital platform so that it can easily enable for aftermarket service in the future or for these equipments which we have. I think, guys, these are the three key areas. If you have a solution that's interesting for us, yeah, please do reach out to us. I think we'd love to hear what you have and what you have done in this space so that we can explore for any synergies there. So let me switch gears from Carrier to Gaurav. So Gaurav, yeah, you've been working in the enterprise for so many years, and yeah, could you tell a little bit about Doppelio and what's been your journey and what kind of offerings you provide for companies like us? Yeah.
Sure. So first of all, really excited to be here and great to be with all of you. Doppelio essentially is an IoT test automation platform, which is the objective of the platform is to enable testing of the application, i.e. the software that's running on the cloud and the edge device, without dependence on physical devices, testing for functionality, scale, network conditions, etc. And my background prior to founding Doppelio was largely on the digital application side. And the Eureka moment for really coming up with Doppelio was born out of in a previous life, we were trying to implement connected building systems, coincidentally same space as what you operate in. And we built a platform, we were implementing it. And what we found is that if we budgeted 2 weeks for implementation in a building, it would take us sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks. The predictability of what it would take, because what really was happening is every time the software was being brought to a new building, there were scenarios we hadn't tested for, there were devices that were new, there were protocols that were new. And what had really happened, we imagined IoT as a simple MQTT, HTTP world where everything will just come online. The reality of the world was very different. And that is when, we started discussing, we said, why don't we set up a physical lab? And we realized that's infeasible. There are just so many devices out there. Then even if you have the devices, how do you set all those conditions, etc.? And that's where the Eureka moment came that said, look, why can't we just virtualize these devices and actually go about doing it? It was a non-trivial problem because IoT devices are infinite. Virtualization has been done in the world of browsers, has been done in the world of mobile devices where there are finite devices. So we had to come up with a completely new model of how to do it. But that sort of prompted me to say, let's go out and really solve this problem. And eventually we ended up creating Doppelio. So Doppelio at its heart essentially lets you do two things. If you've got a connected solution, it lets you first take these devices and virtualize them on our platform. And once you virtualize them, you can then run simulations. You can simulate three things broadly. You can simulate all kinds of data scenarios of data flowing back and forth between the cloud and the device. Second thing you can do is simulate network conditions with it. And then you can scale out and actually create true device-like loads of up to 1 million devices today that we are able to enable. So essentially our promise to a customer and enterprise is that we want to move you away from a word of what we say, test and pray, to success assurance. And essentially what we are saying, in a lab, before you take your product into the field, it should actually be tested for 80 to 90% of the conditions that you need to test it for. So consequently, you can scale out much faster. And to the point, Tamanash, you're talking about, scaling is so hard when you're sort of going out there. And what our dream is that companies should be able to scale out their solutions both from a functional and performance perspective, super fast, as fast as they can. So that's a little bit about us and our journey, so to speak.
Yeah, sure. I think thanks, Gaurav, for that brief overview. And I think as part of iCAR initiative, I think one of the things we want to do is work with startups that have disruptive solutions that can give us scale for Carrier in the digital journey. I think nowadays it's important for us to be more nimble and more agile. And I think Gaurav, if you can just talk a little bit about how was the engagement with the digital team at Carrier, and what's been the process, at what stage you are in, and what's been some of the learnings, and maybe some tips for other founders who have been on the call, that, okay, how do you handle with enterprise customers? I know we're not as nimble as SMEs, small scale companies, but I think there are a lot of processes and structures that we need to follow at an enterprise level. Right. But yeah, maybe some little thoughts on that.
So in terms of the journey with Carrier, I mean, it was a mix of, we were trying to reach out to Carrier in multiple ways. And I think that's when we got connected with the iCAR team. And I also got connected with Ravindra on the commercial HVAC side. But I think our first real engagement essentially happened when we were part of this hackathon, which you guys organized earlier in the year. And that was the first time we were able to come in and actually showcase the platform in a very live, specific Carrier situation. That has sort of evolved into multiple sort of discussions and engagements. And now today we are being used primarily in the commercial HVAC business. And there, essentially, like in any connected solution, you've got a piece of software running on a gateway that is connected to multiple chillers. And that gateway is connected onto the cloud. And the idea is to test the software at both ends for a variety of, by creating simulations around a variety of, alerts and telemetry conditions, network conditions, to make sure that the software works both from a performance perspective at the edge as you scale up, and as you scale up the number of messages, the volume of alerts, etc., and also in terms of functionality. So today we are right now doing that engagement with Carrier. We're hoping that we can build on that as we go along. To your point about working with enterprises, I mean, I think some things we realized over a period of time, is one is, and for any startup that has been working with smaller companies and going to work with enterprises, is patience. And part of the thing is, I mean, in an enterprise, there are 2-3 things which are necessary. One is there are multiple stakeholders that have to be aligned. It is just the nature of the beast. Humans are involved, and each human is taking a view of trying to do the best thing for their organization. And that sort of takes its own time. I don't think beyond a point there is, anything one can do about making it super short. However, I mean, groups like iCAR are a phenomenal, support. So I think any startup that is working with Carrier, I would strongly encourage them to work very closely with Ravindra, Matthew, and the team on that. The second thing is enterprises have requirements which startups sometimes find irritating. Security, the kinds of certifications. And we realized early on that there is no way around it. You can't, I mean, there is a CISO is probably the most powerful individual in an enterprise today, sometimes even more powerful than the CEO in some cases. And heads can really roll if something goes wrong. So one has to make sure that the security that you provide, particularly in SaaS and cloud solutions, is absolutely enterprise grade, no way around it. And there would be other requirements depending on the product that one has. And third thing I think is also when we think from a product and product management perspective, we try to imagine a product that one product that will work for everybody, like a Microsoft Word or an Excel, but each enterprise has unique requirements. And one of the things, at least from enterprise solutions perspective, is to keep that in mind, that there is always going to be something that is going to be unique for enterprise. How do you sort of bake that into the main product, or what do you do custom? It's a decision you have to take, but it's very, very essential part of the thought process. I mean, these 3 things really pop up to me as front and center when trying to adjust from a non-enterprise customer market to the enterprise customer market.
Yeah, I think thanks, Gaurav, for sharing your story. Yeah, in fact, we just, in our first hackathon at Digital India Hub, we invited, I think, Doppelio was one of our startups who joined us for hackathon. And they were kind enough to join us. And I think it was a good experience for the employees working with the startup and trying to build an MVP in 24 hours, right? So what happens normally in a 3-month window, I think we're able to test their capabilities in a 24-hour slot. And I think we had Rajesh, who is a CTO from Doppelio, joined us, and he has spent overnight with us. So I think it was really kind of Doppelio to come and join us, and we love to keep this model continue with other startups as well, because we feel that that's a very good innovative way where we can really fast track some of the validation work in a very short window. So with that, maybe I just have one question for Tamanash as well. So we're hearing a lot about Gen AI and a lot of other talks about in the digital world. So where do you think that will fit into our digital strategy at Carrier, especially, or where do you think that is, and how do companies or startups can build adjacent solutions that can add value to us? Maybe.
Great question. It's on top of everybody's mind, right? So with the Chat GPT event that happened, right? So I would say Gen AI is would be used everywhere, to be very honest, even in a traditional industry like ours, right? So one of the top things that immediately comes to mind is like, which we can solve today, is technician productivity. Again, I'm going back to the technician because that is one of the bottlenecks that we are trying to address in our industry, right? There's a huge opportunity, I believe, with this large language model, Gen AI capabilities that can unlock for the technicians, where it's right now, even the technicians of North America, solve problems in a very different way than technicians in, say, Southeast Asia or North Asia or somewhere. And there is a very little chance of cross collaboration, right? When you put all of the data together, right? For example, all of the troubleshooting steps, all of the experiences that they're getting in solving some problems, right? You put it together, and then at the end, you do not have to follow a standard troubleshooting practice, right? You ask questions and it will intelligently give you the answer, right? It should give you the answer like, hey, I am working on a 19 dB chiller, like a model chiller. I'm hearing this kind of noise. Okay, what does it mean? It should look at every possible scenario in every part of the world, like with a similar chiller model in a similar customer facing. It may ask few other intelligent questions to the technician, like, okay, what is the temperature like, outdoor temperature like? Okay, what is this, like some prompting question. And once the technician is able to, okay, by the way, this is, it should give us a very unique way to solve the problem. I think it would be really helpful for an industry like ours to use the question and answer method rather than follow a strict step-by-step approach in solving a problem. That is one thing that I can think of. Secondly is from a customer point of view, right? We think about, oh, we need to build this report, we need to build a beautiful report, we need to show this data in this way, that way, right? Without knowing exactly what the customer is all like looking for, right? So what they want to know is, okay, is my building or my plant room or my HVAC system is running optimally, with highest efficiency, the lowest consumption usage of energy usage, lowest cost of ownership, and then also it's being maintained on a timely basis. I would say they can question that, right? Say, hey, when was the last time somebody came and serviced my HVAC? It's a very simple question. And they should get, like, we have to traditionally, right now, we have to think, oh, we need to create a report. Why do you need a report? Like, why can't you give a very simple question answer, dialogue based decision system, or like a dialogue based system for the customer? They can really ask the question to their plant room system or whatever they want to call it. Maybe you make it agnostic, and they want to know, okay, tell me today what is my energy consumption for the last month, right? It should give the answer, right? Instead of running through the report, looking at the chart. I think Gen AI is going to revolutionize this, and it's on demand. Anytime like they feel like they can ask this question and they will get their answer. And another thing that I would say, it's kind of coming up in many discussions, and it's kind of having that kind of single pane of glass view for customers. Like, for example, I have different system, different equipments. How can I see everything in one place, right? So kind of asset 360 model, right? For example, I do not want to log into 5 different systems, or do not want to deal with 5 different systems to
Yeah.
get my information. I want to see everything in one place. So those are the two trends that are coming in, and that would be greatly benefited if startups start thinking in those lines.
Yeah, I think thanks, Tamnash, for that insight. It's very useful. I think I do have a couple of questions that people have pinged me, but if you have a specific question, please do use the chat. Yeah, you don't have to ping me in general, but you can share it in the window so that anybody can pick it up. So I think the first question is around, I'm a startup for workplace systems from Pune. We are looking to provide energy solutions for commercial buildings. Uh, how do we integrate with carrier OEM to collect the data from the chillers so we can provide them to the customers? Is there a standard process? Maybe Tamnash, you want to just take that? Tamnash, you're on mute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand the question. So there is a standard process, like in carrier, right? We have something called CCN, Carrier Comfort Network, right? And then, of course, the product that we are sourcing, right, needs to be able to integrate with CCN and talk to CCN for it to be able to extract the information, right? Because all of the information in chillers actually resides in the controller, right? We have different versions and evolution of controller dating back 30, 40 years to now, right? And then they all, communicate via this protocol. So the new products must be able to, communicate using those. And we have, different, like for example, Modbus and all, MQTT, those protocols are also there, but it has to work with CCN to extract the information from the chiller, like different parameters, different data streams that we are looking for. In order to solve the problem, we need to stream those data like elements to create the IoT solution.
Thanks, Tamnash. Yeah, I think I think it's Ravi. If you have a specific question, please do write to us. It's reach iCAR @carrier.com. And another question is, in terms of asset connectivity, are you looking at a software solution? Are you looking at a hardware sensor as a retrofit?
We're looking at both, right? So definitely, as Gaurav mentioned, there is infinite amount of hardware solution, right? So everybody has an IoT device, right? There is there is an aspect of fit to market from a hardware point of view, right? For example, I can have a state of the art hardware with edge computing capability, several $100, or close to $1,000. It's a price point that only few parts of the world can afford, right? But at the same time, if we want similar capability in other parts of the world, their price point is much lower. So there is no one size fits all. And then of course you have to compromise on the the capability of the device as well. So we are looking for definitely affordable, fit to market hardware solutions, hardware products for our connectivity endeavor. At the same time, we are also looking at software, because sometimes many things you can solve without using a lot of hardware, using high quality software, right? For example, if you write a code that does not need 4 GB of RAM, it's helpful, right? So, and then like 32 GB of flash, right? So all those things matter, right? So it's both combination of high quality software and an affordable, fit to market, fit for purpose hardware that makes this combination really good. Otherwise, you may end up having a solution that nobody wants to install, because every time when we go to pitch this connectivity or the localization, right? Okay, connect all products. You have to deal with each of the global business P&L saying, hey, I want you to connect. They will say, why would I need to connect? It's going to impact my P&L, right? It is now a change management aspect, right? Now you have to, create a buy-in from them. Like, it has to be working for them. Like they will ask, what's in it for me? Why would I connect? It's a global endeavor. I understand, but I have to run my local business. So you have to go with a solution that is fit for market, affordable for that particular geography. Then only you can achieve your goal. Otherwise, it's a very difficult conversation.
Sure. Yeah, I think thanks, Tanmay. I think we have another question for Doppelio. Do you focus on digital twins of machines, and how do you support different protocols for testing those devices?
So let me answer the second one first. So protocol support in Doppelio is extremely wide. We support a wide range of protocols, and we also recognize that customers often have their own specific variants. So we allow for onboarding of custom TCP protocols, etc. And we continue to keep expanding that. We are very clear that protocol expansion is necessary within the product itself. Now, digital twin, Doppelio actually is right now being, see, one way to look at a twin is Doppelio creates its own twins, but those are twins designed for testing. We call them Doppels in our system. But a digital twin is also a piece of software. It's a piece of software that is performing certain functions with respect to what is contained inside the product. And we are now having a couple of conversations with customers where they're actually looking at using Doppelio to test the digital twin itself. So that is the way Doppelio sort of fits into the digital twin. But our focus is entirely on verification and validation. Digital twin usually is from a in-production monitoring and troubleshooting of actual machines, which is where Doppelio is being used to test them now.
Thanks, Gaurav. Hope that answers that question, Santosh. And I think I have another question from Raja. Raja, are you available? Raja from Accure.ai.
Yeah, yes, Ravindra, I'm available. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you want to ask your question, Raja?
Right. So, hey, Tanmay, I just heard from you about this generative AI, and so what we have done, we have took the LLM models and pre-trained it and built a kind of a tool which helps to the enterprise to take that pre-trained model and train with respect to the enterprise data set to create kind of a private GPT kind of a thing wherein it would answer it like the way Chat GPT answers in terms of the question and answers. The only difference here would be that Chat GPT answers across the universe data set as such, but our secure GPT, we named it as a secure GPT because it's a privately installed in the customer environment. So basically it would answer with respect to the ecosystem of the data on which the LLM would be retrained. So that's the thing, I think, which is what you are saying, that could be the possible use cases to look for as such. So my question is, how do we take this forward? We can I shared the my demo URL as well for your reference. Maybe Ravindra
Sure,
can
Raja.
share it with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think thanks for sharing that out. I think what we'll just evaluate and then we'll reach out to you. So I'll also share our iCAR email address, so for you to just we'll communicate with you. Thanks for
Okay.
the question.
Thank you.
And we look to understand what you guys are doing and how we can collaborate on this.
Yeah, sure. So we're doing a couple of use cases, with a few enterprise. One pertaining to the customer services area, and that company is, although it's a big, FMCG company, but they do deal lot with the B2B model as well, and of course B2C. But I think this LLM model, what we are training for the customer services, pertaining to the B2B models. And there is another one where we are also working in terms of a lot of
Raja, I just have to
sure.
stop you there.
Sorry.
But then,
We
yeah,
can
we'll
take
reach
it
out to you. I think we'll
further.
love to understand what kind of product offerings you offer.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can take it to the right team within Carrier for further exploration.
Thank you. Thanks,
And
everyone.
expect an email from us either tomorrow or day after. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for joining the call. And I do have one question. I think we have a couple of questions, but in the interest of time, maybe I'll just take one more. How many models of legacy HVAC systems are deployed by Carrier? Do they all have controllers? What communication protocols are available in these legacy equipment? So, yeah,
I would
that
say,
must be a tough question to answer.
yeah, like you cannot count in one hand, no way, right? There are multiple models, right? So I'll tell you, there are three main variants within commercial HVAC, right? So like we call them 19, 23, and 30 series, 19 series, 23 series, and 30 series, and they vary by tonnage, and then each have different variations, many models, right, within these series. And some geographies, are more or and then one more distinction is that there are two variants within the chillers model, which is a water cooled chiller and air cooled chiller, right? So 19 and 23 predominantly are like water cooled chillers, and 30 series have predominantly air cooled chiller, but one or two models are water cooled. And then certain parts of the geography, take more air cooled chillers depending on that, particular country, their like their temperature and all other geographical aspects. And other countries, depending on, maybe if it's a city and they do not have a lot of outdoor space, because air cooled chiller use technically it's outside of the building, right? They cool the building using natural air, and they usually go for water cooled because now you can put it in the basement, right? Somewhere. So there are multiple models, and then each chiller have their own controller, right? We call it pick controllers, and it ranges from like, pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, right? So there are multiple variants of pick controllers, and even within pick controllers there are different firmware that is there in the pick controller firmware. So you can see, if you do a permutation and combination, you will end up having thousands of combinations that is possible for solving this problem. That's why it is so tough now, even with our own ecosystem, right? It is very hard because some of the chillers were installed long time ago, and then just to figure that out, what kind of controller, the the controller firmware is unknown, right? We have to figure out, identify, the software needs to identify what kind of firmware is running, and then bring it to the standard, and then identify the information, and marry it with the latest and greatest brick class or haystack, right? So this is journey. We involve business a lot because some of these technicians know a lot more than our new engineers, right? So we also piggyback on their knowledge and do this thing going forward.
Thank you, Tamnash, for your response. And I do have a couple of questions, but I think, guys, we are out of time. But what we'll do is my team will just go through some of the questions, and we'll get the right responses, and we'll reach out to you. So please look out for that. And maybe before I leave, final comment, maybe thoughts, maybe Gaurav, start with you, and then Tamnash, we can close this out.
No, I think first of all, I think it was fantastic, hearing Tamanash talk about all the challenges, and I'm sure for a lot of people those nuts and bolts issues, particularly regarding things like technician scalability on all are very new things. Sometimes in this world of Gen AI and fancy technologies, we completely forget that there are those kind of issues. But I think in a nutshell, we are all living through a time which is super exciting. All the businesses that we are working in are getting transformed in phenomenal ways. So in spite of all the headaches and hurdles we have, I'm sure a few years back, a few years later, when we look back, we will say, wow, we were grappling with those issues and something new will take on. So I think it's just a fantastic time to be in technology, in digital.
Thanks, Gaurav.
And I definitely agree with Gaurav, right? So we tend to forget the underlying challenges, and I think that's where lies the opportunity, right? So if the companies, right, start thinking from customers backwards, that's where the real solution would evolve, right? So like, for example, what are the nascent issues, what are the challenges that are very hard to solve? They're very prevalent, but very hard to solve, and usually boring. I'll tell you, most boring things bring money, right? So focus on those boring things, try to, jazz it up with the use of digital technology, make people's lives better, and those would be the transformative technologies going forward. So, and thanks for the opportunity. I think we can talk on and on, but I think there is great interest, right, from the startup community, and we need, faster time to market the products, high quality development, high speed product development, and then making people's lives better, through the use of technology. And Carrier is in the forefront, and we want to collaborate and create lives of our customers better.
Thank you both, Tamnash and Gaurav, for your time. I really appreciate, and all the 46 people who've been very kind enough to hear out what about the commercial HVAC and the digital strategy of Carrier and the startups. So yeah, quite exciting. I think I promised you all to be exciting, so I hope it was. And with that, I conclude this session of AirTalks. We'll come back to you with another leader of Carrier with a different problem statement, and look forward for your participation. And also, please share this word with your friends and networks so that they can benefit from these sessions, because we really believe that the solutions are around us. It's only when we start connecting the right people and the right platforms, magic can happen. So at iCAR, we're trying to do that, and I appreciate all the support this evening. And with that, thank you so much, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.